Don't have to say my name.
Go ahead.
Good morning. Jimmy Hood is here.
Moscow, Texas doesn't pop up on most national maps, but Moscow, Texas is home to one of the biggest families, the Hardy Hoods. With a 5 generation span having over 100 members, at the top of the Hardy Hoods, you have Green and Martha Hardy. Green and Martha married in 1916. They had 11 kids, the sixth being my great grandmother. They lived on a small farm in Pluck, Texas. On that farm, they all contributed to make ends meet. Green Hardy only had one job. He worked in a wood mill for about 3 months, only making about $1,000. Martha Hardy died on March 27, 1950. When she died, Green Hardy gave each of his children a piece of land. On those lands is where the family started to expand. Each of those children had multiple children themselves. And since the death of Martha Hardy happened, the family wasn't together. The family didn't start coming back together for family reunions and things until my grandmother was a child. Not much is known about my great grandmother or my great great grandmother Martha or my great great grandfather Green. All I had to do my research was legal documents, and in these legal documents, not much is listed about their personal life. My great grandmother also stated that she doesn't really know much about her father or mother either. Back then, parents were much stricter, and since they were on a farm, the work that my great grandmother and her siblings did was very important. My great grandmother moved in with her aunt and uncle at 16. As stated in the 1940 census, she worked as a housekeeper at the time. Green Hardy died in 1961, leaving behind his 11 children with 5 acres of land apiece. On that land, my great grandmother had 4 children. Among those children, 3 were girls, including my grandmother, and the eldest was a boy. My great grandfather had died when my grandmother was younger, when she was 3, so he was not very present in her life. Even so, my great grandmother speaks highly of her husband and my grandmother too.
What was your family's financial situation growing up?
We were okay. My sister and brother and I, we never really wanted for anything, food, clothing. We were okay. My dad died when I was 3 years old, and my mother, she never remarried, and we were okay. We were good.
The land shown is a combination of my great great grandmother's and her sister's land. This is just her land.
What are some of the meals Medea cooked?
Oh wow, all of the best of everything. Okay, homemade chili, which we love, and you know I love homemade chili from scratch. My siblings loves chitlins, and she do the chitlins. She did that. Um, Thanksgiving dressing, homemade dressing, and turkey with the cranberry sauce, greens, pies, the best pies you could eat: cheese pie, lemon pie, banana pudding.
Raising 4 children on your own in the 1950s as a single black woman is far from easy. So many obstacles when you think of the social standing at the time. It amazed me when I did my research. Every single person I asked, or who had connections, or heard stories about my great grandmother, it's as if they were talking about Superman. The Superwoman, no matter the death of her husband, which crippled most women at the time, she still raised her family, and people said she did a good job.
If any, what are some hardships Medea faced?
Raising 4 kids as a single parent. Like I say, my daddy died in 1955, and I was 3, and she never remarried, but we were good. That's the only thing I know for sure. as a single parent, but she was strong. She was strict, but she took care of us, so.
Martha and Green had 11 kids: James, Alma, Cretia, ML, Alicia, Ella, Effie, Clarence, Millie, George, Bertha, and Cleora. As you can imagine, the family split like a tree sprouting. Each had their own children who had children. The assignment has made me realize why I'm still meeting new cousins even at 19. I have cousins in California from Millie. I have cousins in Portland from ML. And who knows where the rest of the family is.
What were some of the things you did with your cousins growing up?
Running and playing in the country, in the woods, picking pears off pear tree, eating plums, fresh plum, red plum trees, learning how to ride a bicycle by just pushing me down the hill on the bike, and my cousin teaching me how to ride a bicycle, going to the spring, getting fresh spring water to drink in the woods. It was the best water you could ever taste, of running. Just being with my cousins was great.
What were some of Madia's hobbies growing up?
Oh, she loved to fish. She loved to fish, and she could sew. My mother didn't need a pattern. We could show her something in a catalog, what we liked and what we wanted, and my mother would make it. By the end of the week to wear to the football game, we had it. And she could sew, quilt, homemade quilts. We had all of that. My mom did that. So sewing and fishing, she did that.
Was the family close when you were younger? Did you get together at family reunions, funerals, birthdays?
Yes, we did. We were very close. My mother and her sister, who visited quite often with her kids, or we were out there, or they were with us. Of course, funerals, that was a part of everyone's life. But family reunions, yes. The Hall family reunion, every year, all the homemade food and everything with my auntie, husband's side. We didn't do as much as the hoods because my father died when he was 35. But it was good.
Was your father present in your younger life? Did you have relations with his side of the family?
Oh, yeah. My dad died at 35. I was only 3 years old at the time. So we wasn't as close to his family as on my mother's side. But she always talked to us about him. We had pictures of him and what would have been if he would have been alive. But that didn't happen. So we wasn't as close on the hood side as on her side. But it happened sometime. I grew up without my father.
Thank you, Miss Hood.
With this assignment, I took a dive into my origins and found out why things are the way they are. A lot of my family is not documented due to our deep country roots. From my research, I concluded that Green Hardy bought his land for about $200. which is about $3,800 today. He used that land to build wealth through farming. To build that wealth, he had a big family. Not only a big family, but an efficient one and a useful family that will bring profit to the household and will be able to help around with the farm. This is supported by the severed relationship with my great-grandmother and her parents. Even though she praises Green Hardy, she never spoke on a good relationship with him via my grandmother. In the 1920 census, my great-grandmother was in the household with her father, Green Hardy. In 1930, she was with her uncle. Even though my great-grandmother had moved off the farm at 17, she still had gained skills and experience from the farm that would be spotlighted some years later when she has her own children. My great-grandmother had my grandmother when she was 31. She was 29 when she had her first child. Late compared to the average age for the first-time mothers in this time period. When I asked my grandmother what was Madea's job or what was she doing before marriage, she didn't know. Madea didn't really talk about how her life was before marriage. Madea's oldest son is Eugene Hood. Eugene Hood was born September 1st, 1948. He went on to have 2 children, a boy and a girl. The girl went on to have 2 children, while the boy went on to have 4 children. Eugene Hood suffered from diabetes in his late years and died in 2016. Madea's second oldest is my grandmother, Jimmy. Jimmy was born February 17, 1952. She went on to have 1 daughter who went on to have 3 children. Among those 3 children is my sister, who has a daughter, me, who doesn't have any kids yet, and my little brother, who doesn't have any kids yet. The third oldest is my Aunt Ann. She was born April 28, 1954. She went on to have 1 child, a son, who went on to have 1 child, a son. His son went on to have 3 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. Madea's youngest child is Alma. She was born December the 6th, 1963. Alma went on to have 1 child, a daughter, and her daughter went on to have 1 child, a son. This little tight-knit family is the family I call home. We walk in Madea's values and morals. We live by her code. We try to follow in her footsteps. She was a great example to us all. Even though she wasn't around much when I was younger, and even when she was around, she was mostly bedridden. She did a great job taking care of her family. Green and Martha Hardy laid down the foundation to a strong, vast family. And I'm thankful that I got the chance to look back into our history.